Welcome back to Design Bundle's YouTube channel. If you guys are new here, my name is Crystal, and today we are going to make a Halloween tumbler. Today we're going to be using a 20 ounce, and what's really exciting about this one is it's actually like this holographic. Hopefully you guys can see that there. It's got this sparkle and shine to it. The design that I'm using today is this one right here. As you guys can see, this is going to be super bright and vibrant. As of right now, when you first print it, you guys know that it prints not the true color. So whenever we go to press this, this color is going to be even more bright and vibrant. So it's got all these fun colors as well as these designs, and I thought it would be perfect for Halloween. And this is going to go on this 20 ounce tumbler. The ink that I'm using today is Sawgrass. I used it with my SG 1000. So the very first thing we want to do is trim off these edges right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now I'm just going to be very careful not to get into our design. Once you have your sides cut off, I have this one more, you guys notice there's no white. I left a little bit of white on this side, so I'll make sure I'll fold this one down first and then this one. So what we need is some heat resistant tape. Like I said, a pair of scissors we already used, and then you want some Subli shrink. If you guys don't have a tumbler press where you can just press that, you're going to be using a convection oven, you want something that is called Subli shrink. So what this is going to do is shrink right up around our tumbler. And we're going to be able to just set this right into the convection oven, and it's going to close right around it. I also like to have like a little pad to cool down right next to me. So it's going to help me transfer it from the convection oven to my counter space. So what I'm using here is just a Cricut pad. The first thing we need to do is spray some rubbing alcohol and clean it with a clean cloth. I like to use like an eyeglass cleaner cloth for this. You want to make sure it's not going to leave any lint behind. And what we're going to do is remove any sort of oils that's going to prevent from a perfect press. So let's go ahead and do that. And now we're ready to tape on our design. So what we're going to do is just get us a couple pieces of tape here, like so. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and start with this side of the design. I'm actually going to go ahead and remove our lid and straw, because you want to make sure that when you go to press this in your convection oven, you have removed that, because the heat will melt this piece right here and you will not get it off. So always make sure that you remove that and any sort of straws before you get started. So I'm actually going to wipe this one more time because I touched it again. I went ahead and went back and cut off my bottom part here. That way it's going to be nice and flat on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and just line everything up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull nice and tight. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull tight. You can't add tape just yet, because if you do, the tape is going to get caught underneath your design. So you're just going to pull nice and tight. I'm going to go ahead and repeat the same process, and I'm going to add one more piece of tape. What I like to do at this point is I'll take any remaining paper at the top or bottom and fold those in. I like to keep the bottom nice and flat if I can, but if you can't, you definitely want to go ahead and roll those edges in. Now that we have our tape on here, we're going to go ahead and slide it right into our Subli shrink, just like so. And what we want to do is center this up. So you just want to make sure it's in the center. And we're going to take this over to the convection and just set it right in. Now we're ready to put it in our convection. You want to have this set at 400 degrees for 6 minutes. So what I'm going to do is just carefully slide this in without touching anything. And as you guys can already see, it's starting to shrink right around that. So we're just going to go ahead and shut the door, and it's going to go ahead and completely shut all the way around that. And it's going to press for 6 minutes. So 400 degrees, 6 minutes. Now that we have our tumbler out of the oven, we're simply just going to go ahead and start peeling. You definitely want to do this while it's hot. You may need to take your scissors to go ahead and break right into this thing here. I'm just going to go ahead and peel. And there you guys have it. How super cool is this? I love this color combo and this holographic. I know you guys can't really tell on camera here, but this is super holographic. And like I said, with this color combo, it just came out super nice. I do recommend that you guys do a full page bleed, because you will avoid things like this. So you see how I got off a little bit with my white edge right here. You guys can see my seam right here, and then I also got off a little bit there. So super nice though. I really love the way this came out. And then you just have your straw and your lid. Once this is completely cooled down, I think it's cooling down now, I'm using the We Are Memory Keepers heat gloves. So you want to make sure that you do have some heat resistant gloves on hand when you do projects like these, because this metal does get super duper hot. And it does come in handy to have like a little Cricut pad or something like that. You could have a hand towel, something to let it cool down. Now I do have granite countertops, so if I kind of set this up here, it'll cool down a little bit quicker. I can even lay it on its side here because that granite is going to just cool this down even faster. So I can kind of let this lay around here. But like I said, I love the way that this one came out. Super cute. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please hit the like button down below and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one.